You lie upon a world that inhales and exhales in ages, its skin a patchwork of drifting plates, resting on molten breath that never ceases. Tonight, you begin to listen to the Earth's slow, secret rhythm, each pulse a promise of stories unfolding. Beneath your feet, asterisk, you rest here, body sinking into the quiet embrace of your bed. Unaware, at first, that you are also resting upon something vastly larger, living planet, cradling you as gently as any soft pillow. Beneath you, beneath the houses and gardens, beneath roads that stretch like slender veins across neighborhoods, lies the Earth's rocky crust. It seems so still from where you breathe, so faithful and unchanging. Yet, if you could slip deeper, as though dreaming downward through layers of time, you would discover that this calm surface is only an illusion. Close your eyes and feel it, a subtle rising and falling, as if the ground itself draws breath. It is a breath measured not in seconds, nor in minutes, but in millions of years. The Earth inhales and exhales by drifting its mighty plates, pulling them apart in places, pressing them together in others. This is a breath of countenance. Imagine, for a moment, that you are as light as a cloud, able to float high above the world and look down. From this height, you can see the shapes of continents outlined by blue oceans, almost like puzzle pieces scattered across a table. These pieces are not fixed. They slide ever so slowly, nudged by forces beneath that move with an ancient patience. They have traveled thousands of miles over deep time, sometimes breaking apart, sometimes colliding, forever rearranging the map of your world. Beneath these plates is something far more mysterious, a mantle that flows, though not like water in a stream. It is more like hot wax under a gentle flame, creeping and folding in slow currents. This mantle is made of solid rock, yes, but under immense heat and pressure, it can move, almost sighing beneath the crust. It pushes and tugs at the plates resting above it, guiding them on journeys that take hundreds of millions of years to complete. Try to picture it, your home, your country, the ground itself as a tiny passenger on one of these vast rocky rafts. All around, other plates drift too, sometimes away from each other, sometimes toward. And deep within, this quiet engine churns on, indifferent to human lifetimes, yet essential to every breath you take. If you pressed your ear to the ground and could listen not with human ears but with the ears of time itself, you might hear low, slow murmurs, a creaking here, a gentle groan there, the whisper of rock against rock. They are not sounds in the way you know them. They are movements, tensions, building and releasing, a conversation held over eons. There was a time, long before you, when all the land was gathered together into one immense supercontinent called Pangaea. Imagine standing in the heart of that land, able to walk from what would become Africa to what would one day be Asia without ever crossing a sea. The earth drew a deep breath, then, holding it for millions of years, until at last it exhaled. Pangaea fractured, its pieces sliding away from each other, opening up new oceans between them. This was not a violent shattering, but rather a slow, patient parting, like two lovers drifting apart, still tethered by memory. And now, this planet continues to breathe. The Atlantic Ocean grows a little wider each year, while the Pacific shrinks. Mountains rise as plates converge and press together. Earthquakes rumble softly in hidden faults. Volcanoes bloom here and there, releasing the planet's inner heat in luminous fountains. You walk atop all of this, rarely aware that the ground is anything but still. Think of the crust, this outermost layer of Earth, as a skin. It is thin. Compared to the whole planet, like the fragile peel of an apple. Beneath it lies that vast, warm mantle, which itself rests atop the even hotter core. The core is mostly iron and nickel, glowing with fierce energy, a solid inner heart wrapped by a swirling outer layer. The movements of this molten metal generate Earth's magnetic field, a gentle shield that protects you from the sun's harsh winds. Even this is part of Earth's deep, unending breath. There is something humbling, isn't there, in realizing that the ground you trust is not permanent. And yet there is comfort, too. For this restless motion, this planetary respiration, is why your world is alive. It recycles the crust, renews landscapes, shapes continents, lifts mountains, carves basins. It provides the minerals that plants and animals need. It is a slow, deliberate creativity, so much slower than the beating of your heart, yet just as essential. Allow your mind to wander now, drifting with the plates themselves. See how the continents migrate, how coastlines shift, how oceans open and close. Time becomes a long ribbon unspooling behind you. Glaciers advance and retreat, seas flood ancient plains, deserts blossom where rain once fell. All of it because of this profound breath, the earth inhaling and exhaling across epochs. You may wonder, does the earth know you are here? Perhaps not in any way you can easily grasp, yet you are made of it. The calcium in your bones, the iron in your blood, the potassium that helps your heart keep its quiet rhythm. These were forged in ancient rocks, lifted from deep places by tectonic motions, eroded into soils, drawn up by plants, then folded into the tapestry of your body. You are, quite literally, a child of Earth's shifting plates. Feel the gentle pride of belonging to something so vast and ongoing. Your heartbeat joins with countless others, human and more than human, all resting upon a planet that moves with majestic patience. Each breath you take is a tiny echo of Earth's own breath. Each night you lay down to sleep, the planet cradles you in its slow dance, reminding you that you are never separate from its story. And so, as you nestle deeper into rest, imagine tracing with your fingertip the fine seams where plates meet, those places called boundaries or faults. They wind across the ocean floors, snake through mountain ranges, slip beneath cities. They are lines of tension and promise, holding the energy of tomorrow's landscapes. Your dreams tonight may drift along these hidden lines, following the hush of molten rock far below, feeling the patient pressure that someday will give rise to new ridges, new valleys, and perhaps, just perhaps, as you drift towards sleep, you will sense the soft beginning of another story waiting beneath the waves, where continents part and new oceans prepare to be born. Far beneath your dreaming mind, countenance part like gentle hands. In the dark, molten rock wells up, forming newborn ocean floors. You drift across undersea ridges that glow with quiet creation. The Earth's patient artistry shapes vast blue expanses, whispering how separation often seeds wonder. Asterisk beneath your resting body, beneath your quiet street and the sleeping gardens and the last soft breaths of night creatures. The earth unfurls stories too slow for ordinary eyes. You lie still, yet if you could let your mind slip down through layers of rock, you would arrive at a place of hushed, wondrous creation, a place where continents part like gentle hands, opening, offering a tender invitation to what comes next. Imagine yourself drifting there now, weightless, as if your thoughts have become a delicate seed carried by warm currents. You glide beneath the crust, deeper still, until you reach the shadowed boundary where two colossal plates slowly drift apart. They move only as fast as your fingernails grow, so quiet you would never notice. Yet over the breadth of millions of years, that tiny motion becomes something immense, a rift that widens, a seam that stretches open like the first careful tear in a piece of cloth. Through this opening rises molten rock from the mantle, soft and glowing, drawn upward by the release of pressure. It flows into the gap, fills it, and cools to form brand new ocean floor. The process repeats over countless ages. Plates continue to separate. Molten rock emerges, hardens, pushes the older seafloor away. This is how oceans are born, not in sudden floods, but in the slow, deliberate weaving of the planet's fabric. Picture an undersea mountain chain running like a hidden scar across the floor of the Atlantic. This is the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, a place where the earth gently makes new crust. Here, magma wells up in dark valleys, and as it touches the frigid water, it solidifies, building ridges higher and higher. It is a secret nursery for the ocean's floor, always growing, always reaching outward, above these submerged ridges. You might imagine tiny lanterns glowing away for your dreaming mind to mark this underwater creation. Each glow is a silent promise that life, too, will find its way here. And indeed it does. Even in the deep dark, where sunlight cannot reach, strange gardens of life cluster around hydrothermal vents, where heat from newborn rock escapes into the ocean. Giant tube worms, ghostly white crabs, and billowing mats of bacteria flourish. In this alien warmth, thriving on the Earth's inner breath, it is easy to think of oceans as vast, ancient, unchanged since time's earliest days. But they are, in truth, children of these rifts. The Atlantic, for example, is still quite young by Earth's standards, born less than 200 million years ago when the supercontinent Pangaea began to split. As the plates pulled apart, water flooded into the growing basin, and the first waves of the Atlantic rolled in. Each widening millimeter of that ocean floor is another step in the Earth's patient choreography. Your body, so small against these planetary movements, is made of elements forged in stars and recycled by Earth's restless crust. The calcium in your bones, the salts that flow in your veins, once lay locked in ancient rocks that were carried by drifting plates, ground down by rivers and poured into the sea. Even now, tiny plankton harvests these minerals, building delicate shells that will someday rain down upon the ocean floor, to be buried and perhaps reborn by tectonic forces far into the future. As you drift above this undersea realm in your mind's gentle voyage, you can almost hear the soft crackle of cooling lava, the sigh of water meeting molten stone. There is no hurry here, no sudden flash of change, only the slow, sacred work of building a world. The seafloor creeps outward from the ridges, pushing the continents farther apart with every breath of molten rock. Separation might sound like sorrow, like the drifting away of something once whole. But here, it becomes a kind of creation. New oceans invite new currents, new climates, new paths for life to evolve. The splitting of a continent, painful as it might seem in the language of human hearts, is what allows coral reefs to flourish. In warm shallows, what guides whales on long migratory songs, what shapes the winds that bring rain to distant forests. Floating now along these mid-ocean ridges, you sense the subtle pulse of the earth. It is a rhythm slower than any lullaby, measured not in moments but in millennia. Yet your own body responds, as if somewhere deep inside, your cells remember that they too are part of this ancient breathing. You rest easier knowing that the ground beneath the oceans is always becoming, never quite finished, much like yourself, above. The waves, continents edge farther from each other. Look at a map and trace the mirrored shapes of Africa and South America, like puzzle pieces that once fit snugly together. The Atlantic stretches between them, still widening a few centimeters each year, almost shy in its steady insistence. One day, far beyond your lifetime, it may become so wide that entire climates will shift, new species will appear, old coastlines will vanish beneath the tides. Yet for now, it is simply growing, quietly. Under moonlight and sun, under storms and calm skies. Each drop of water that laps against a distant shore carries with it the memory of this deep, unseen work, the slow rifting that gifts the world with new blue expanses. As your thoughts hover here, lulled by the gentle rocking of tectonic plates, you might wonder what becomes of the places where continents do not drift apart, but instead edge closer. If separation sows oceans, then what does collision bring? What stories rise when plates meet, not with an opening hand, but an embrace? Let that question settle in your mind like a pebble dropped into still water, sending out ripples of quiet curiosity. For just beyond the horizon of this chapter lies another unfolding tale of stone rising skyward, of ancient collisions that build mountains, and of how the earth's gentle breath sometimes lifts its crust to kiss the heavens. Feel your breaths slow as ancient forces collide. Continents meet in an embrace that lasts eons, lifting stone toward the sky, carving rivers into memory. Mountains are time made visible. Their silent grandeur invites your soul to be still. Asterisk, you. Lie quietly, the weight of your own body grounding you in this moment. Yet your mind floats free, drifting above the hush of your breath. Beneath you, continents are not still. They are restless giants, gliding over the mantle's warm currents, meeting and partying with a patient, age-old grace. Tonight, you allow yourself to wander among them, to feel what it means when worlds collide, not in sudden violence, but in a tender, unhurried convergence. Imagine two vast continental plates, each carrying forests and rivers, deserts and dreams, drifting ever so slowly toward one another. Their pace is almost imperceptible, no more than a few centimeters each year. Yet these gentle advances, sustained over tens of millions of years, become profound. They are like two lovers who move ever closer, pulled by forces deeper than understanding, until at last they press together, their edges folding and crumpling like fabric gathered in quiet hands. Where they meet, the crust thickens, buckles, and lifts. Layers of rock, once content to lie buried, now rise toward the sun. Over ages beyond ages, these uplifts become mountains, silent testaments to the power of slow embrace. You might think of the Himalayas, born from India's long journey northward into Asia, a voyage that continues even now. Each year, the Himalayas still climb a tiny bit higher, drawn skyward by this inexhaustible collision. Picture standing at the base of such a mountain range. Feel the cool shadow it casts over you, the way the air thins as you look upward. These peaks seem eternal, immovable, yet they are caught in the same restless dance as everything else. If you could watch in a time-lapse stretched over tens of millions of years, you would see them bloom from flat plains, swelling upward, their slopes gathering snow and glaciers, their summits sometimes cracking under their own immense weight. As you continue to drift in this quiet meditation, think of the rocks that make up these towering giants. Many were once soft sediments, laid down by rivers in broad, gentle basins. Over time, layers upon layers accumulated sand, mud, shells, organic remains compacted into stone. When continents collide, these humble strata are caught in the squeeze, bent and folded like paper in patient hands. Some layers snap, thrusting up at steep angles. Others flow slowly, contorting into sweeping arcs that ripple through entire mountain ranges. It is humbling to realize that these rocks, which now stand thousands of meters above sea level, were once buried deep below oceans or spread wide across coastal plains. Their transformation is a story written in texture and line. Fossils of marine creatures found high on alpine ridges, twisted seams of ancient lava caught between folds of limestone, veins of quartz crystallized from fluids seeping through compressed fractures. You wander through these hidden chronicles with a gentle awe. In your mind's eye, you trace a fingertip along the grooves of metamorphic rock, feeling the heat and pressure that once remade them. Minerals rearrange themselves under such burdens, atoms migrating to find new balances. Shales become slates, limestones transform into marble, sandstones into quartzite. The mountains are archives of these profound metamorphoses, stone reborn under the hand of Earth's deep breath. Higher still, above the tree line, where only moss and lichens cling, you pause to take in the sweeping horizon. Peaks stretch in ranks toward distant clouds, their shapes softened by ages of wind and ice. You can almost hear the whisper of glaciers grinding slowly down their flanks, carving cirques and valleys that channel meltwater into newborn rivers. These rivers rush downward, eager to return sediments to the lowlands, beginning again the long journey that will someday rebuild other mountains in other distant collisions. Consider the paradox. Mountains rise from forces of compression, yet they are always being worn down by rain, frost, and flowing water. In this way, Earth balances its impulses. Uplift meets erosion in a long dialogue that sculpts each range into its own distinct beauty. The craggy ridges of the Rockies, the broad folds of the Appalachians, the jagged towers of the Andes, all speak in different dialects of the same ancient language. As you rest deeper into this journey, notice how your own breath mirrors the planet's hidden motions. Inhale and think of continents drawing together, pushing land skyward. Exhale and imagine rains falling, rivers running, mountains slowly surrendering their height back to the sea. It is a cycle that soothes itself, a story without hurry or end. And in this story, life finds countless niches. Grassy meadows bloom in alpine basins, their brief seasons buzzing with insects and bright with flowers. Mountain goats tread narrow ledges, guided by instinct older than memory. Eagles wheel in the thin air, scanning for signs of movement among the rocks. Even in winter's hush, when snow cloaks everything in silence, seeds sleep beneath drifts, waiting for warmth. The mountains cradle life as surely as they bear the scars of collision. Somewhere on these heights, you pause to rest. Close your eyes and feel the sun on your face, the crisp wind teasing your hair. You are made of the same elements as these towering masses: calcium, silicon, iron, carbon, all once locked in rocks, soils, waters. Perhaps this is why standing before a mountain stirs something deep within you. A recognition of shared origin, of quiet kinship. Mountains also shape the sky itself. As moist air rises along their slopes, it cools and condenses, forming clouds that release life-giving rain or snow. In this way, the mountains not only lift stone, but also coax water from the heavens, feeding rivers that will nurture plains and forests far below. Even deserts often owe their existence to rain shadows cast by high ranges. where moisture is wrung from passing winds. Imagine following a single drop of water that condenses in a mountain cloud, falls as snow, melts into a rivulet, then joins a torrent that carves its way down steep gorges. It may feed lakes, flood lowlands, soak into soils, be drawn up by roots, and someday find its way into your own body. In this sense, the mountains are quiet, stewards of cycles that sustain all life, including yours, as twilight gathers around. These imagined peaks, you feel their presence shift from imposing to tender. The fading light paints them in gentle hues, rose, lavender, deep blue, until they stand as silhouettes against a sky jeweled with stars. In this stillness, mountains seem less like obstacles and more like old souls keeping watch, whispering stories of continents that collided long before human eyes ever beheld them. Listen carefully. Beneath the silence, you might sense a faint, resonant memory of grinding rocks, of strata folding upon themselves, of Earth's slow heartbeat pulsing upward into stone. It is a lullaby of pressure and release, of creation drawn out across countless ages. And as your thoughts begin to drift toward sleep, let them wander to a gentle question. If these mighty collisions of land give rise to mountains, what quieter secrets lie hidden in the trembling of faults or the murmurs of the earth's crust as it slips and adjusts? What stories does the ground beneath you still hold, waiting patiently to unfold? Perhaps, in the hush of coming dreams, you will follow these subtle vibrations deeper, where tensions gather in shadowed faults, preparing to whisper their next gentle shift in the long, meditative dance of the living earth.